everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. I'm here with Dephemerember today. It's day number 6. Selfie in a Bubble is our prompt for the day. So I have a bit of an idea. I have not done a prototype, but I think this is going to be fun. So I've printed out a little selfie here. It's a little modified kind of fun little selfie that I use for social media. So I'll set that aside. That will come to us a little bit later. What you see here is a big melamine bowl. It's kind of like a very somewhat shallow bowl that has a wide kind of mouth, right? It's a vintage bowl. And I need either something like this or something that is flat like a plate to do this technique. You can use a plate. So what I've done, and I'll do a little bit more right now, you'll see there's a little pool of something here. This is actually Beam watercolor paint. You can use any watercolor paint for this. And just a simple little brush like this that you get quite wet. And I'm thinking about bubbles. When you see them in the light, obviously you see all the colors that kind of, rush around in a bubble. You see yellows and blues and purples and pinks and golds. So I have gone around the edge of this bowl just with a little bit of watercolor paint to create some pool in the center here that I'm just going to add a little bit of sparkle to. It's harder to see the sparkle silver and stuff, but I'm just going to add a little bit of this nice sparkle as well. Let's get your brush really nice and white so you can pick up a lot of paint and pigment because you want quite a bit. Then I'm just going to come up and pull the colors up. So there's some blue in there, there's some purple, there's some pink, there's some sparkle. And right before the next step, I'm going to add a few of the colors that aren't super represented there. I want them to start rushing down the side. Add a little water to make that happen. Then you're going to need something round like this cup, okay? So get your cup ready and get your watercolor paper ready. And I'm just going to use one sheet of a very simple watercolor paper. Pull it out here. I'll show you the brand in just 1 minute here. It's just the Montmartre brand. Now you also need a nice wide brush. This is an Artist's Loft number 12. So we've got this, we've got lots of water. Pull your colors up a little again, just before you do the technique. So now take your cup and put it down and just kind of smoosh it around. The objective is you want to get the paint on the rim of the cup. Pull it up, let it drip for a second, lay it down. Then bring it up. Now you're going to take your great big brush, okay, and you're going to get it very wet and come from the top, pull it right down. Okay, just like that. Perhaps I was ever so slightly too wet because I got a little too much water, but that's okay. We're going to be cutting these out, so no stress. So now we're going to go in again with a little bit more smooshing this up. Bring in more color again to the sides of the bowl. See if I can do this one a little faster. I tend to go with like yellow, blue, and pink. Then come in and move it around, pop it down again, bring it up. We got better color that time. Hopefully you can see that. Let me come in with a slightly less wet brush, not soaking wet, just a little bit wet. A little like wet, but not, dripping. And then bring it down, bring it up. And there you see, you're getting like the colors, right, in that bubble. Let's do one more, and I won't even add more paint this time. I'll just see what I end up with here, just doing this. Okay, another bubble. And if you don't want to pull the color down, you don't have to. Maybe you just like that as your bubble. But I like to pull the color down with some water. So yeah, I'd say a slightly medium wet brush is good. This is my favorite so far because it's got the most color. And you know what I'm wondering is, can I come in again with my colory brush? So I'll get those colors again. We'll just experiment because why not? That's what we're here for. Dephemerember is all about, you know, try new things and push your creative boundaries a little. So there we go. I've got my colors there. Let them drip for a minute. Come back in with my cup. I'm not going to move it too much. Just a little bit. There we go. Yeah, that's the secret of the colors. Just put them on right before you go in, and then you can kind of pull them inward. I'd go kind of up and down like so. So let's see if we can't do that again on another bubble that didn't get much color. Absolutely. Okay. Nice. So here's our bubbles. Now, obviously we need a little bit of drying and cleaning time. I'm going to let this sit and dry for a moment while I just clean up the paint, because that's all I need the paint for this technique, and I will be right back. So these have had a bit of time to dry. I've also used my heat gun, and when I was doing so, I just tried to kind of guide the color a little inward, but I didn't want to make it too directional because I didn't want to modify sort of like how the bubble would look. So now we have a couple bubbles. This one I think is my favorite. It's the most kind of bubble looking. This one has some lines that are a little too defined for what you would see on the surface of the soapy water. This one is maybe my second favorite, or maybe this one. This one has more subtle color to it, but also I think that is indicative of how bubbles can also look. You know, they're not all super colorful when you're looking at them, and it depends on the light refraction, right? So now I'm going to cut these out. Now you can obviously use a guide to make your circle super circular, but I feel like I don't really need one. I'm just gonna go with what I've got here and use it as a guide and not be too stressed about keeping this, you know, extremely perfect. That's pretty good. So it does guide you quite well. You might have a few sections where like the water will go outside of the actual bubble line, but you know, you can just kind of guide those off as you're cutting. This one I particularly like because I feel like it's very much picking up the way a bubble would look, especially right here with this little bit that didn't get painted. It's almost like the light is shining from this direction on the bubble. Okay, so there's our bubbles. I'll cut them all out because why not? You know, I don't exactly know what I'm making yet. So that's one thing about the way I do Dephemerember. I only sort of kind of have a plan, and that I have my materials maybe sorted out ahead of time, but that's about it. I don't necessarily have the whole idea formulated. But because this will be using a selfie, I'm going to be making something for my own personal journal. With this piece. Okay. All right, so now we have our 4 bubbles right here, and they are fun. I like all of them now that I'm looking at them. These 3 really speak bubble to me. This one's a little more abstract, which is okay, because I feel like this piece we're going to make is going to be kind of fantastical, fantasy-ish. Here is a look at one close up so that you can kind of see, hopefully, the way the colors look without too much light blazing on it. That's one thing about filming, is you have to have bright light. Okay, so if I look at this, I see, okay, so this is a selfie. I've added flowers here. I've got some hummingbirds and a little bee and a heart. And so what I'm thinking about making is like kind of a free-form sort of pocket that I could stick something into. So I have like this folder here. I'll just pull a piece of it off. And that will be my backing for what I want to create. And then I'm thinking about how I want this to look. So I've got a 1-inch punch here, and I'm wondering if what I can't do is just maybe punch out. First I need to cut this whole image out. And I chose this one because I feel like it's kind of got the same colors that you see in a bubble. And it's also kind of like a more fantasy type image. So I want to, if I can, punch out. Maybe what I'll do is I'll cut out the section I want to keep as part of the work first, which is sort of like this. Just gotta get my little tuft of hair up there. Okay, that's what I want to keep here. Then I'm going to use my punch to punch out this hummingbird, this bee and a heart, this hummingbird, and this hummingbird. Okay. So now I think what I'm planning is to kind of lay down my bubbles here. I'm going to use my lesser favorite ones under here. Then I'm going to add my hummingbirds here and here. Maybe like that and like that. Okay, yeah, I think that's what I want to do. Now, I need to glue all this down. So let me grab my glue stick here, or not my glue stick, my art glitter glue. And I'll just start maybe from the top. Out like that. And these two are kind of like the two band-aids that hold the whole thing together, right? Attaches all the pieces. So that will make it easier for me to be able to glue the rest down. Then I'll flip it over and I'll go in all the little spots where these all need to connect with a little bit of glue. Okay, so that's all connected. Let me go back to the front. And this is where you can decide if you like the width of, or not the width, but the kind of girth of the thickness of this, or if you do in fact want to put it on a folder. I still want to put it on a folder because I like it to be a little thicker. So just go over all the bubbles. Then I'm going to cut this out, and I am going to like fussy cut right around it because I don't want any kind of a border, because that would take away from the outline of the bubbles. And you know, I think about soap and how it like gathers itself on the edge of like the water, you know, like it's you wouldn't want a border on it, I don't think. The other thing I could do is I can leave this little flap at the bottom actually. So if I don't want this to be a pocket, it could be a little tuck with writing space on the back, a little like flip, right? So maybe I'll do that instead. That might be more fun. And then I have options. I can choose to use it as a pocket or as like a little flip. So we will fold this so it's completely hidden from the front. Excuse me, I'm still dealing with this like never-ending Grady voice. Okay, so now we have that. And the kind of cool thing is like you don't really need a whole lot more. I do have this blue Woody's ink though, and I'm thinking I might just come in. I'm actually just gonna use my finger and just add a little bit of a notes here and there with this blue. And this actually is another idea. If you don't want to do the watercolor step, you can just cut out circles, and you could use inks, like a blue ink like this, to kind of just come around the edges. I'd probably just, you know, sweep your finger inward a little, and you'll create like more of a, just a clear, more of a maybe a cartoony bubble or a not as realistic kind of bubble. But I do think that looks quite cute. And I'm just gonna touch it in a few other places there. Okay, so then I think the only thing that I would like to add is a little bit of a word snippet. And I have this, "The Impossible Made Possible." And I'm gonna try to make it a little smaller. And I just pulled this out of my random word bin. I don't think too much about the words that I use. I just sort of look to the inspirations that I have in my little word bin, and I just trust the instinct of the little word bin. So let's pop that down there. Okay, perfect. So there we go. Now we have a little selfie in bubbles, and you can obviously flip that or use it as a pocket in a journal. A couple of other ideas that I had for this, if you're seeking inspiration and you're not into this project, I was thinking about using bubble wrap. I was thinking about using those plastic dome kind of bubbles. I was thinking about like doing something like that, and maybe researching some kind of a fun lava lamp that I could make inside one of those bubbles. I was thinking about using acetate, like a circle kind of acetate that you could slip a selfie into. My brain was going in multiple directions, but mostly I just wanted to share something that you could use in your technique, you know, pantry of your brain, which is how to make these watercolor bubbles. Because I think it's a fun technique, and I think the more time that you spend with it, kind of refining the way your colors are, how they'll go into your surface. Like on your plate, I would use a flat plate rather than the bowl that I use, so it doesn't all collect in the middle. That's kind of a oversight on my part. You'd also use a jar lid. That would be very good too. Like you could just put it right in the jar lid, and you'd have that circle, and you could use a little tin. You could use an egg cup. like for a boiled egg. Lots of different things. But yeah, I'm really happy with this, and I think I'll probably play with the bubble technique a little bit more. There's obviously also like the soap bubble blowing. You can actually blow bubble soap with paint and create bubbles. Like, you know, we've done that with school children. I did that as part of a homeschooling project a long time ago. You can create nice bubble paper like that. But yeah, just a few ideas to play with. And that is it for me for today. So quick little project, and I'm really happy with it. I will talk to you next time. Have a great Dephemerember. Bye for now.